A string of violent illegal immigrant crime is rocking the liberal and affluent Fairfax County in Virginia. The state's new Democrat governor, Abigail Spanberger, doesn't seem ready to make any changes, though.
He says 3 out of every 4 people arrested in Fairfax County are illegal aliens. They're asking you to discontinue sanctuary city policies. Any comment along those lines, Governor? Governor, any comment on the DHS request?
Well, she dodged, and here is exactly what DHS is requesting. Of the 4 defendants in Fairfax County murder trials this year, 3 are illegal aliens. Governor Spanberger must end her sanctuary policies that allow these illegal aliens onto our streets and work with DHS to protect the citizens of the Commonwealth. Well, look at what she's overseeing. Beyond this year, 7 illegal immigrants have been linked to 13 killings in Fairfax County. So she lives there. She has to have known before she took office that this was coming. And it seems to be taking a political toll on the new governor. 46% of Virginians disapprove of her performance per a recent Washington Post poll. By the way, I looked it up. She's only been in office for 81 days. That is quick disappointment. That's a spiral. The crisis there reverberating beyond the state now. Angel dad Joe Abraham's 20-year-old beautiful daughter Katie was killed by an illegal immigrant drunk driving last year in Illinois. In focus yesterday, he told me the words he has for sanctuary leaders like Spanberger.
This is the predictable outcome of reckless policies. Victims are created every day, and not every victim dies. But this is something that this ideology from our irresponsible leaders, so-called, need to really get evaluated. They got to stop with the arrogance. They need a little humility, and they need to look themselves in the mirror and really understand what they're doing to the communities.
In focus now, Chad Wolf, former acting DHS secretary and AFPI chair for Homeland Security and Immigration. Great to see you today. First of all, she's got a crisis on her hands. What can you tell me about fighting the crime in an area where you can't really fight illegal immigrant crime because of their policies?
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation. Obviously, Fairfax County, butts up against Washington, D.C. in that Northern Virginia area. And in that county, we've seen this problem time after time, except, going back to her predecessor, Governor Youngkin signed an executive order actually mandating cooperation with ICE. Yes. Governor Spanberger revoked that almost on day one, and the consequences are already manifesting themselves just a little over 2 months. And I think voters in Virginia are starting to take notice. You showed that poll recently. But I think a lot of folks are saying, wait, I thought she was going to governor sort of as a centrist, but this is a very radical policy of making sure that you don't cooperate with ICE, that you let more criminal aliens back out into your communities to offend. And I think the people of Northern Virginia, and I would just say Virginia as an overall, are taking real notice of this.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear 13 killings involving 7 illegal immigrants, I mean, that is more than a coincidence. And so I'm curious, when she revoked that order that Glenn Youngkin had put in place, did anybody think that it would go differently? Like, did she miss something?
No, obviously, sanctuary cities have been around for years and decades. I think she and her team knew exactly what they were doing. They tried to model themselves after other leading Democrats in the country in Chicago and San Francisco and places like that. And I'm sure she wanted to be part of that group. And unfortunately, Virginia is a little different than those states. And you've had an ongoing problem, particularly there in Northern Virginia, with illegal aliens and the types of crimes that they're committing. But the fact that you've had 3 or 4 very high-profile murders there in Fairfax County, that the governor is not speaking out on this, the governor is not commenting on this and saying, look, we've got to find a different approach here in Virginia. She's not doing any of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, or at least take the responsibility to acknowledge it. I want to get your take on this. There are 2 Irans, apparently, and the hypocrisy is glaring. There's one terror regime-run country where elites oppress ordinary Iranians and torture and kill them. And then there's one where the relatives of those elites in Iran live large in the United States, enjoying all the freedoms that their nation had denied everybody else. And Iranian-American journalists torched this double standard this way.
We have a situation where regime insiders, people associated and affiliated with the government in Iran, their children and family members are living in the United States, Canada, here I am in the UK, and quite frankly, enjoying the privileges of a society that so many in Iran are deprived of. The idea that they are living with this duality of belief is something quite mind-boggling. It's the hypocrisy of the regime.
What's your response to that? Are you shocked by it?
Well, I'm not shocked, but I am glad that you're talking about this, and we're talking about this as a country now, because it shouldn't go on. You should not have relatives of a foreign terrorist organization or an Iranian regime sitting here in the United States on a visitor visa, tourist visa, whatever kind of visa they came in on, and if they're still sympathetic to that regime. So I think the Secretary of State Rubio, DHS, and others are taking a hard look at this. I think they should. They should be looking at any Iranian linked visa, any individual on a visa that has Iranian ties, given the situation that's ongoing, and what have they been doing over these past several years. But this is the ongoing abuse of our visa system and immigration system here in the United States.
Chad, it's just hard to believe that we weren't doing that before. I mean, come on. In President Trump's first term, they took out Soleimani. I mean, you've got the niece and the grandniece of him here. This isn't like it's breaking news and we didn't know that they got asylum in 2019. I mean, it's unbelievable. I want to get this. Federal agencies are warning that Iranian hackers are going after our U.S. energy and water sectors, and that the attacks have been increasing since the war began. So now we're in the ceasefire. We have a chance to really dig in and see even more about what the enemy has been doing. This all comes as the DHS cybersecurity agency remains unfunded in a 53-day now partial government shutdown. Your response, and what needs to happen?
Yeah, sure. I would say two things. One, the fact that Iranian hackers are targeting these types of infrastructure. It's not. That's not news to the United States government. So before actions initiated in Iran, DHS, as well as other elements of the cyber community, likely went shields up, knowing that these types of attacks would occur. But the fact that you continue to have DHS as a whole, but particularly the cybersecurity agency there inside DHS, continue to be unfunded. I'm told that over 2/3 of their employees are sitting at home today because they are not working. And I think that's extremely dangerous right now, that, as we have a conflict overseas, we have heightened threat environment here in the homeland. We see more attacks here in the homeland here recently, that you continue to have DHS unfunded. You continue to have Senate Democrats and others refusing to fund the very elements that are keeping the American people safe.
Yeah, I mean, you have led that agency, so you know that when it's not working, we can be laid bare in certain areas. Real quickly, what is the one thing that you're most concerned about, even during the ceasefire, that you can tell us about what Iran's capabilities are with regard to this?
Well, one, we've talked about them, cyber capabilities, because it's very easy to pay a group of cyber criminals and others to go after U.S. infrastructure and other things. It doesn't take a lot of effort, just a lot of money, which they have. And then two, I would still be concerned about some of these lone attacks that we continue to see here in the homeland by people that are inspired, that are sympathetic to the Iranian regime. Now, the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Forces, and others are doing great work here, but I would certainly keep my eye on that issue because that is something that can continue to impact a lot of Americans.
Well, I hope Democrats are listening. I hope they understand that the danger is still there and that those areas of your former agency really need to be funded immediately. Chad Wolf, always great to have you in focus. Thank you.
All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.